now looking at confidence talk. So basically, at this part of the process, the client is reasonably happy to make the change in the behavior, but they're not very confident as to their ability to make it, how successful they're likely to be, etc. So what we need to focus on is identifying successes the clients have had in the past and trying to build on those, and reframing any difficulties they experience into challenges, and also looking at hypothetical scenarios of if things start going wrong, what can you do about it? And therefore the client starts developing confidence to deal with obstacles that they might experience in the process. So we're back to Steve. Hello, Steve. So we've been discussing, and you said that you really want to develop your strategy to take time out when you're feeling angry, and that you also would like to engage in other hobbies, etc. So you kind of let off some steam. So when things are not going very well at home or at work, you're not kind of nearly exploding, but you've let off some steam already. But you've also said that you've been angry and using aggression for as long as you can remember. So how is it possible that I can suddenly become this changed man, kind of? So if you were to try again, what would you do differently so that it may work?
Taking the time out straight away is something that I think would work best. Allowing just to let things go and not let things get to you as much when it's small.
Okay. So you mentioned two very important things there: taking time out earlier on and allowing to let things, letting things go. So what will help you allow things, letting go of things, not letting them get to you?
Just trying to think about the scale of it. How much does it really matter?
Oh, right. Okay. Can you tell me more about that?
Is it something that could affect me long term? How can I overcome it?
Okay.
That sort of thinking.
So when you're saying, is it something that will affect me long term, are you trying to see whether, is it worth getting all worked up about something quite minor?
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of putting things in perspective, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. And the other thing you mentioned was taking time out earlier. What are the reasons that you would do that?
Again, it gives you that second to reflect and think about it, which leads on to how actually big the problem is.
And you mentioned in the last session that you were having an argument with your girlfriend and you took time out for a few seconds quite early on and things worked out. So that was, a really successful experience of taking time out earlier on.
Yeah.
So what helped you take the time out early on there?
I just paused for a second, and I breathed and controlled myself.
And what helped you make the decision to pause for a second and breathe rather than go on arguing?
I had a moment where I was going to throw something at her, and then I think it was that image of actually throwing something at her and hurting her physically that made me stop.
Okay. So the image and kind of the knowledge of you on that you were capable of throwing something at your girlfriend kind of scared you enough to stop and take time out. Okay. So bearing that thought in mind, that if you don't take time out early on, things can really escalate, seems to help you take time out early on. Okay. So this is your plan, to take time out early on. what if you don't manage to take time out within the first minute of the argument? What can you do then to avoid things escalating?
I need to find a point where I realise that I will get out of control and try and have that moment still, even if it is delayed.
So even if taking time out is delayed, it doesn't mean it's lost.
Hopefully not.
You still have the opportunity to take time out.
Yeah.
You know, it's how some people think, I've not done it so far, so it's not going to happen. But what you're saying is, I've not done it in the first minute, but I can do it in the second minute. Okay? Yeah, good thinking.